Hi everyone, it's Shamila Ramjawan from the Red Corner Chat. This afternoon, my guest is Ronel Jooste, who is a chartered accountant and also the owner of a guest house in Centurion, Johannesburg. And we're going to get to know more about Ronel because Ronel has a lot of accolades and she's doing a lot of stuff in terms of philanthropy and business. Hi, Ronel.
Hello, Shamila. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to spend some time with you in the red corner.
Yes, it actually feels like you're right here in the corner, and that's the whole idea behind it. I now get people in my red corner. But welcome and thank you for actually coming on board. We want to hear all about what you're doing. So do you maybe want to just tell me a little bit about Ronel Jooste, your background? Just take us through that.
Okay, so as you mentioned, I'm a chartered accountant by profession. So I've completed my articles at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and thereafter I've joined one of the large listed insurance companies in South Africa. And then I've spent about 10.5 years in the corporate world. Before I left at the end of 2015. So I really enjoyed my corporate career up until a point, but I think you also come to a point where you just believe there's something else out there and you want to go and, venture into a new journey and explore other avenues. So all my background basically back then was in the financial services industry. So I've been with the top 4 banks, insurance companies, investment companies. And today I can use that experience that I've gained to basically help my clients again. So that is basically how it all started. And then like I said, I've left at the end of 2015 to start my entrepreneurial journey. And then we opened our guest house in April 2016.
Wonderful. Ronel, why accounting?
Shamila, you would be surprised. I think some people are surprised, but I always wanted to become a chartered accountant since I was a little girl. There was never something else in my mind, but I always wanted to be a businesswoman. So I wanted it to use it as a platform to get into business later on. And I'm a very proud chartered accountant. I think it's something that I've worked really hard to achieve, and but it does help me tremendously on my journey.
Wonderful. So moving from a big corporate to having your own business, entrepreneurship, what were the major challenges that you faced?
Shamila, it is completely different. I think in the corporate world, you are very much, kind of thinking inside the box. Everything is kind of set out according to certain processes and procedures and guidelines, and you do not really have much room to move outside of that space. So I really enjoyed when I went into basically my own journey, just the freedom of that I can now explore anything. If I come up with a new idea or something, I can implement it and try it. So I think the biggest challenges would be just because when you are in a corporate, you have a lot of support. There's the IT team and the marketing team and the sales team and everybody else who's basically specialists in those areas. And when you go out on your own, then all of a sudden you realize now you need to be the expert in all of those areas. So that was definitely, I think, a big challenge for me, especially, learning about marketing and selling and all of that. because you obviously do that as part of your studies, and I've also done quite a bit of it during my MDP studies. But it's completely different when you have to apply those kind of practically in the real world, and it's also quite different to manage money within a big corporate, and now you are in a space where you need to generate that money first before you get to manage the money and record the money and report on the money. So there's definitely been quite a lot of challenges. I think it's a difficult and challenging route, but it's definitely very rewarding.
Well, you've done so well. Tell me about your business, FinanciallyFit Group. You've written a book as well. Just take me through just your business, your core business.
Yeah, so they I basically do financial consulting for businesses. So there I really use all the knowledge and experience and expertise that I've gained while working in the big corporate world, where I could learn how the big successful companies are managing their finances and analyzing their finances and how they use their finances to be successful. And I can basically bring all of that back to my clients, which are now more like smaller to medium-sized businesses, because they quite often don't have that kind of financial type of background. Or they are also not yet big enough to appoint financial resources and to have a financial director and a financial manager. So I can really help them with all the financial processes and procedures, and just to help them to manage their finances more effectively, to understand it more effectively, and to also do, sometimes with the costing and the pricing and all those kind of things, smaller to medium-sized enterprises really struggle with. So that's basically what I help businesses with. Then I also do have the Financially Fit Life Academy. So there I focus on training. I've now, during this lockdown period, pivoted into online courses. So I have launched a couple of online courses, both on personal finances as well as business finances. And then I also do financial webinars almost every week that really help people a lot, especially during this time. I also do accounting and tax services. And there I've also, during this period, identified a big need, especially on a startup and for the smaller businesses, where many of them couldn't, during this period, apply for funding or some of the relief schemes because their accounting and tax, they didn't have those requirements in place. And quite often they do not have sufficient knowledge, and they also don't yet have the money to pay for expensive accounting software and accounting services and tax services. So I have implemented or launched specific packages that's very affordable and very accessible, specifically to help the startups and the small businesses. And then we also do employee financial wellness programs, where we basically help the employees of a company on their personal finances, just to manage their finances more effectively. Yes, and then I've also published my book in 2019, Financially Fit and Wealthy, and that is all about personal finances, literally taking you from the journey where why is it important to be financially fit, right up until, going through budgeting, different kinds of investments, debt management, retirement, all those kind of things, to the points where I talk a bit about your thinking patterns and how that impact on your money decisions. So yes, that is, I think, in a nutshell, what Financially Fit Group is all about.
Where can one get a copy of your book?
You can order it on my website, roneljooste.com. You will see there is a specific page for it, but it's also on my other website, financiallyfitlife.co.za. So you can get both a hard copy as well as the ebook is on there.
Awesome. Do you find a lot of people shy away from the topic finances?
Absolutely, Shamila. I think it is something that a lot of people don't feel comfortable talking about. And I always say to people that people feel much more comfortable, on social media, they would say, I want to lose 10 kilograms before summer or something, but they will never say, I need 5,000 Rand or 10,000 Rand to get through this month. And I think also with finances, it's much easier to pretend that you are okay, even though you might struggle a lot financially. And I think it's just not in people's nature to talk about finances. And what is strange is that people usually think that with what I'm doing, that a majority of my clients would be women. But it's not. It's actually the majority of my clients are men. And I think they also, men feel more comfortable talking about finances, learning about finances, where I find that women generally tend to shy away more from it. And it's only once they attend a webinar or a workshop, and then, because I try to always explain it in a very, easy to understand way, that they then start getting more comfortable. And it's also when you have physical workshops and you sit with people and you start talking about it, then when the one person would mention something, then that a discussion would open up, because then everybody realized, but it's not only me having a certain problem, everybody around the table has similar financial difficulties or struggles. So people definitely, I think, shy away from it. I think a lot of people believe it's complicated. They actually just want to run away from it.
Your experience with working with entrepreneurs, so you work with small businesses, medium-sized businesses. What do you think are the biggest financial mistakes that entrepreneurs make?
Shamila, I think there is quite often a lack of financial knowledge, because a lot of people, they are sometimes well qualified in a different field or industry, but they don't have the financial knowledge. And then similar, like what I said at the beginning, now all of a sudden they need to take responsibility for their finances, and they don't have that experience and knowledge to really, first of all, understand their financial results, and to also, make decisions based on what they see. And so I think that's definitely one thing. The other thing is also that I find many entrepreneurs, they struggle with the costing and the pricing in their businesses. So they basically just look at what somebody else is charging for their product or service, and then they just try to, charge a little bit a lower fee, and then they believe that is okay, without really doing the calculations. And I think that is why so many businesses, they tend to, literally just, it feels like they are running on this wheel. They are constantly chasing business and chasing sales, and I quite often find that the sales and the business is coming in, but if your sales is not profitable sales, then you are never going to progress, and your business is now never going to become more financially stable. And then I think also the third biggest mistake is that a lot of smaller to medium-sized businesses, they only focus on the sales and the profitability, basically the profit statement, and they never focus on building a strong balance sheet, focusing on things like cash management and those things. And I think during this lockdown period, that was the biggest lesson that business owners could learn, was that the businesses who were financially stable, who had a strong balance sheet, who were in a positive, good cash flow position, were the businesses who had a lot less stress during this period, even though their income would have been affected as well. But those, I believe, are the three biggest mistakes or things that smaller businesses are struggling with.
How does an entrepreneur become more financially savvy? Would you suggest education first, where they should attend a webinar, get more familiar with it? Because I do know a lot of entrepreneurs, startups, for example, they don't know the first thing about managing finances. And they have the accountant does all the work, and you just pass everything on. How would you actually, or what would you actually recommend in a case like that?
Yeah, I think, Shamila, the biggest thing is to educate yourself about your finances. And I think there's already, because when you say to people who don't come from a financial background, if you mention finances to them in a business, they only think about the accounting side. They think accounting equals finances. And I mean, accounting is actually a very small aspect of your total financial management within your business. And I think when they are smaller, then they, like you said, they hand it over to the accountant and let the accountant do whatever they need to do, and the accountant hand them back their financial statements or their management accounts, and they file it, and then they use it again for when they need to submit it to source or whatever, but they never really know and understand how to use the financial results. So I think, first of all, they must take responsibility for the financial success within their business and equip themselves with the knowledge, because even though you might have an accountant, you are ultimately responsible for the financial success in your business, and you need to have the knowledge to ask the right questions to the accountant as well. Because at the end of the day, the accountant is not responsible for your business. You need to make the decisions, and you need to have the knowledge and the experience to know what are the right decisions to make based on what the financial results tell you. So I would definitely recommend that they spend more time on their finances to familiarize themselves with the finances, but to, yes, also equip themselves with the knowledge, attend webinars, do online courses, just learn more about it, because it's similar to anything else in life. When you want to lose weight and you start running, and now you see, okay, I've lost 1 kilogram, I've lost 2 kilogram, then you get into it, and then it actually motivates you. Now you want to lose 5 kilograms or 10 kilograms. And I think it's the same with finances. Once you get into it and you start understanding it and you start seeing the results, then it also have like a similar kind of motivational kind of factor to it, where you then want to learn more about it. And once you see those results coming through, then you actually start, seeing the bigger picture and exactly how important it is.
I totally agree. I think education is the key here, and it's most important. And one has to have the knowledge, because you're running a business. If you look in today, well, today's times. There's so many fraudulent activities that take place within organizations, and that's just with internal resources. So if you don't know what's happening in your business, then people are obviously going to rob you, and you're not going to know, or you might know years down the line. So it's important to have that knowledge when you actually run a business. So Ronel,
Absolutely.
yes. So tell me about your guest house. You have the stunning guest house in Centurion. Take me through that and how COVID-19 has affected you in a way, because I know there's no tourism now, and just take me through that.
Yeah, so we started, my sister and myself, we started it in 2016. It was accidentally. I always had this dream of one day I want to own a game lodge with a wellness retreat. And I basically see this kind of as a stepping stone to get there. But we actually wanted to buy a bigger premises when I also started my own business, so that we could both live on the premises and also have our offices. But then the place that we found actually had 9 bedrooms, so it was huge, and it was big enough for us to, live on the premises, to have our offices and still have 6 guest rooms. So then we started out. It was a very interesting journey. I think you have this fairy tale picture of a guest house, and the first year was all but a fairy tale. It was a complete nightmare for us, being fully female owned and managed, and to really manage a big premises like this in terms of maintenance. We had 4 geysers that burst in the first year, and it was just tough, just kind of electricity problems and all those kind of things. But as we progressed and as we started to figure out how things work and what we need to do, it really became a very rewarding and enjoyable journey. And we've been doing really, really well. We've really had, in 2019, we had a tremendous year. And we also had in January this year, we doubled our revenue from January 2019. So we were really in a very good, solid, strong position going into this lockdown period. So that was for us, I think, a very disappointing and a tough journey, because we literally went from being fully booked that weekend, and then we had the famous speech, and then everything was just completely dead thereafter. So yes, we haven't had any guests for more than 3 months, so no income, but still having to pay the salaries, having to pay all the expenses. Now, obviously, with a guest house, the expenses are quite large. But yeah, so we only started basically from July, getting guests again. In August, we had more guests than in July. But yes, it's still very quiet compared to where we were before lockdown. So it was definitely, I think, tough for us. And yes, I think for the whole industry. And yes, we can only, hope and pray that everything will get back to normal as quick as possible.
Yes, for sure. Everything is going to pick up in due course. I wish you everything of the best with that. Apart from businesses, what else does Ronel do?
Shamila, I'm quite a fitness fanatic. I've also completed my personal training diploma. So I really love that. Running every morning, going to the gym. So that was also something that I've really missed during this time. I enjoy playing golf. Yes, I really love traveling. So I think that was also something that I couldn't do during this time. We had actually an overseas trip planned at the end of March, which was fully paid for, that we had to cancel because we went into lockdown. So I'm really looking forward to be able to travel again. And yeah, I think apart from that, I enjoy entertaining family and friends, and just spend, sufficient time with my partner and with my family. We are a very close family, my sister, myself, and our parents. So I really love spending, as much time as possible with them. And yes, I think those are the biggest things that I really enjoy doing.
Wonderful, Ronel. Take me through your foundation, the Ronel Jooste Dream Foundation.
Yes, Shamila, so that's again, I am very passionate about financial education, and I really believe that financial education is the solution to many problems in South Africa. If we are much better educated about money, and also, how to create jobs, how to manage money, and all those things, we can definitely, I believe, change a lot of the problems in South Africa. So with the foundation, I aim to take financial literacy out to the communities, to equip them with the knowledge and the skills so that they can manage their money more effectively, and to ultimately prevent poverty, and to create more jobs, and just to create a more secure financial future for everybody in South Africa.
So how does it work, Ronel?
Also, Shamila, I think before lockdown, I did a lot of workshops and talks. So there I would go out to the community. So that would have been literally from, going to some of the rural areas and go and do a talk there. Sometimes, do smaller workshops with smaller groups of the people, to going to schools, universities, churches, networking groups. So that was mainly kind of what happened before lockdown. So now during lockdown, I've moved much more into kind of the webinar space, where I do a lot of webinars. I've also started doing a lot more on my YouTube channel now, because I wasn't really be able to go out to places and do a talk or something for them there. So I try, on my YouTube channel specifically, to every week, come out with educational videos on both personal finances and business finances, just to, explain finances to people and what they need to look out for, and just general information that can help them with their finances.
So a lot of these projects, or all of these projects within your foundation, is that financed by you?
Yes, that is mainly financed by myself. I also have, with my book, that every book that I sell, I also donate 10 Rand of that to the foundation as well. So I sometimes do kind of a fundraising project that would also help, because then that money I also donate to the foundation. But yes, currently I mainly self-fund everything.
Awesome. That's wonderful, Ronel. So take me through a message, a post-COVID lockdown message to whoever's going to watch this.
Shamila, I definitely believe all of us were impacted in some way, whether it was physically, emotionally, financially. All of us were, I don't believe there's anybody who would be able to say I wasn't impacted at all. You know, even if it was just that you couldn't see your parents or a grandchild or whatever. But I also believe, especially on the financial side, many people were tremendously impacted, and I think it's even going to get worse in the next couple of months when we see more of the impact coming through, and with so many businesses closing down, job losses, retrenchments, I think there's really a lot of financial strain and stress on many households and businesses. And my message to people would be that make that decision today to spend more time on your finances and to create a better financial future for yourself and your family. Whether it is to, you know, create additional income sources, whether it is to start repaying your debt, or whatever it is in your personal situation. But I would definitely say spend time on your finances to become financially stable within your personal situation as well as your business, if you do own a business, because there's nothing much that we can do about the past or the current situation, but we can definitely change and make an impact in terms of our future and how we experience our future. And I think if we can just remember this experience and say, I never want to be in this situation ever again, where I need to, you know, whether it is I fear for losing my job or not having money to pay for electricity or whatever, but that I want to make sure that if anything similar like this ever has to happen to me again, that I can be in a financially stable and secure position.
What a beautiful message. Ronel, contact details. I know you shared contact details earlier on. Do you maybe want to just tell everyone how can they get hold of you?
Yes, Shamila, they can have a look on my website. It's financiallyfitlife.co.za, also ronelJooste.com. Then they can also have a look at my YouTube channel, Ronel Jooste Financially Fit Life. But between my website, there's also my email address, my telephone numbers, all of that. So people are more than welcome to all my free webinar details, or also on there if they want to join in for a webinar in future. But yes, they can definitely have a look on my websites.
Ronel Jooste, thank you so much for coming through and talking to us today. Very insightful, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of people contacting you going forward. Take care and all the best.
Thanks so much, Shamila, and thanks for the opportunity. And yes, I also wish you well with your Red Corner chats in future, and keep on inspiring.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.